Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today. I stand before you not to tell you who you should be, but to remind you of who you already are. Women are powerful, resilient, and capable beyond measure. Yet, too often we are told to shrink ourselves, to be soft, agreeable, and quiet. Today, I say enough. Being soft does not mean being weak, but when softness becomes a disguise for fear, self-doubt, or the inability to stand up for ourselves, it holds us back. Society has long dictated that a woman's strength should be hidden behind politeness, that our ambition should be tempered by humility, and that our voices should only rise when permitted. But history has shown us something different. Every great woman who changed the world did so with determination, courage, and fire in her heart. From Marie Curie to Malala Yousafzai, from Rosa Parks to the women leading movements today. None of them were soft when the moment demanded strength. They stood up, spoke out, and pushed forward, even when the world told them to sit down. So let me ask you, what are you afraid of? What dream have you pushed aside because you thought you weren't strong enough? What voice inside you have you silenced because you feared being judged? I urge you to embrace your power unapologetically. Set boundaries without guilt. Speak your truth without hesitation. Defend your dreams without needing permission. Because no one else will fight for you the way you can fight for yourself. The world does not need softer women. It needs stronger women, bolder women, and women who refuse to be defined by outdated expectations. So let's stop apologizing for our strength. Let's stop waiting for approval. Let's stop being soft in a world that demands our courage. Softness is often seen as a virtue, a quality that makes a woman gentle, kind, and nurturing. But there is a fine line between being soft and allowing fear and self-doubt to dictate our actions. Too many women mistake passivity for grace, silence for humility, and hesitation for thoughtfulness. In reality, these are often symptoms of an internal struggle, one where fear has taken the driver's seat, and self-doubt whispers that we are not enough. From a young age, many women are conditioned to believe that being liked is more important than being heard. They are taught to be agreeable, to avoid conflict, and to always consider how their words and actions might make others feel. While kindness and empathy are powerful traits, they should never come at the cost of a woman's own strength and self-worth. A woman who constantly suppresses her true thoughts, emotions, and desires in order to fit into an ideal of softness is not living fully. She is limiting herself, bending to expectations that do not serve her, and ultimately losing sight of her own power. Fear is often disguised as hesitation. Women hesitate to ask for a raise, to speak up in meetings, to set boundaries in relationships, or to take the first step toward a goal. This hesitation is not because they lack capability or intelligence, but because they have been made to feel that wanting more is selfish, that being assertive is aggressive, and that standing up for themselves will make them unlikable. The fear of judgment, rejection, or failure keeps them in a cycle of playing it safe. But playing it safe has never led to greatness. It has never built empires, changed societies, or made history. Self-doubt is the silent force that keeps so many women stuck in the same place. It makes them question their worth, their abilities, and whether they truly deserve what they want. It whispers that they are not smart enough, strong enough, or capable enough. It convinces them that others are more deserving of success, that they should wait their turn, or that they are not ready yet. But self-doubt is a liar. Every woman who has ever achieved greatness has faced it. But the difference is that they did not let it win. They felt the doubt, acknowledged the fear, and acted anyway. The world has always benefited from women who refuse to let fear and self-doubt dictate their lives. Women who fought for their right to vote, for education, for careers, and for their place in society did not do so by being soft in the face of injustice. They did not shrink themselves or silence their voices. They did not wait for permission to be who they wanted to be. They stepped forward, knowing that they would face resistance, criticism, and sometimes even failure. But they did it anyway because they knew their value, their power, and their right to take up space. A woman's softness should be her choice, not her default. It should never be the result of fear or insecurity. True strength does not mean becoming cold or unfeeling, but it does mean recognizing when softness is being used as an excuse to stay comfortable, to avoid taking risks, or to escape the discomfort of standing up for oneself. Strength is about embracing challenges, making difficult decisions, and having the courage to say no when necessary. It is about knowing when to be gentle and when to be firm, when to listen and when to speak, when to step back and when to take charge. Women are not naturally weak, but they are often made to believe that they are. They are taught to be patient instead of assertive, to be supportive instead of ambitious, to be flexible instead of firm. But these lessons do not serve them in a world that requires strength, resilience, and confidence. The women who break barriers and redefine success are not the ones who allow fear and self-doubt to control them. They are the ones who recognize that softness, when used to mask insecurity, is not a virtue but a limitation. Throughout history, women who have made a lasting impact did not do so by being passive. They did not wait for permission, nor did they allow societal expectations to define their potential. They were bold, resilient, and relentless in the pursuit of what they believed in. Their strength was not handed to them. It was earned through struggle, resistance, and the unwavering belief that they deserved more. Women like Marie Curie, who revolutionized science, did not achieve greatness by waiting for approval. At a time when women were rarely seen in academic spaces, she defied conventions, pursued her research, and became the first woman to win a Nobel Prize. Her work was not just an achievement for herself, but a breakthrough that changed the world. If she had been passive, if she had accepted the limitations placed on her, science would have lost one of its greatest minds. Rosa Parks did not change the course of history by being soft. She did not politely step aside when she was told to give up her seat. She did not lower her voice to avoid making others uncomfortable. She knew that standing her ground would come with consequences, but she refused to back down. That single act of defiance ignited a movement, proving that one bold decision could inspire millions. If she had chosen passivity, the fight for civil rights would have taken a different path. Emmeline Pankhurst and the suffragettes did not win the right to vote by politely requesting it. They were fierce, unyielding, and determined. They endured arrests, hunger strikes, and public ridicule because they knew that waiting quietly would lead to nothing. They demanded change, and they fought for it with everything they had. The idea that women should simply accept their place and hope for progress to come on its own was never part of their strategy. They knew that real change required boldness. Even in modern times, women who lead movements, break records, and redefine industries are not passive. Malala Yousafzai was just a young girl when she spoke out against the oppression of women's education. She knew the risks, yet she continued to raise her voice. She was attacked for her defiance, but even that did not silence her. Today, she is a global advocate for education, proving that courage, not passivity, shapes the future. Serena Williams did not become one of the greatest athletes of all time by apologizing for her strength. She faced discrimination, criticism, and constant scrutiny, yet she never backed down. She fought for equal pay, for respect in her sport, and for her place in history. She refused to soften her ambition to make others comfortable, and because of that, she became a legend. The women who build empires, change policies, and shatter barriers do not do so by staying in the background. They take risks, they challenge authority, and they refuse to be ignored. Passivity has never been the path to progress. Every time a woman has stepped forward to demand her rights, she has faced resistance. But the difference between those who make history and those who fade into the background is the decision to fight despite the obstacles. Women have been told for centuries that they should be patient, that they should wait their turn, that they should not demand too much. But history does not remember those who waited. It remembers those who acted. The world is not changed by those who simply hope for better days. It is changed by those who make those days happen. Every right that women have today was earned by those who refused to accept passivity as their destiny. From a young age, many women are taught to be careful with their words, to be mindful of how they express themselves, and to prioritize keeping the peace over speaking their truth. They are told that being too outspoken is unattractive, that being too direct is intimidating, and that being too passionate is too much. This conditioning leads many women to silence themselves, to hold back their thoughts and opinions, and to second-guess their own voices. But the truth is, no one changes the world by staying quiet. No one earns respect by swallowing their words. No one builds the life they want by refusing to speak up for themselves. Women's voices have shaped history, broken barriers, and led movements. Yet too often, women are made to feel as though their words are less valuable than those of men. In workplaces, meetings, and public forums, women are interrupted more often, their ideas are dismissed more quickly, and their contributions are frequently overlooked unless repeated by a man. This is not a reflection of their abilities or intelligence, but rather a system that has long been designed to keep women in the background. The only way to change that is to refuse to be silenced. Every woman has experienced a moment when she wanted to speak up, but hesitated, whether it was in a conversation where she disagreed with someone, in a situation where she felt disrespected, or in a moment where she had an idea but feared rejection. That hesitation comes from the conditioning that tells women to be likable rather than assertive. But being silent to avoid discomfort is a disservice to oneself. A woman's voice is one of her most powerful tools, and she must learn to use it without apology. There is a difference between being quiet and being unheard. Some women are naturally introverted, some prefer to listen before speaking, and some choose their words carefully. None of these things make a woman weak, but when silence is rooted in fear, fear of judgment, fear of conflict, fear of rejection, that is when it becomes a problem. The fear of speaking up often stems from the worry of being seen as difficult, confrontational, or emotional. But why should a woman's strength and passion be seen as a problem? Why should she have to soften her voice to make others comfortable? The people who respect her will listen, and those who do not were never worth her silence in the first place. In relationships, many women silence themselves to avoid conflict. They accept behavior that makes them uncomfortable. They ignore red flags, and they tolerate mistreatment because they do not want to be seen as demanding. But what is more important, being seen as easygoing or being treated with the respect one deserves? A woman's voice sets her boundaries. If she does not speak up when something is wrong, she allows others to decide what she must accept. In careers, many women downplay their accomplishments, speak less in meetings, and hesitate to negotiate for what they deserve. They fear being seen as arrogant or pushy, so they settle for less. But confidence is not arrogance, and self-advocacy is not pushiness. Men ask for raises without guilt. Men voice their opinions without fear. Women must do the same, not because they need to act like men, but because they need to claim what they have rightfully earned. Women's voices have power. They have shaped revolutions, changed laws, and challenged injustice. Every woman who has ever made a difference did so because she refused to stay quiet when it mattered. The world is already full of people who are too afraid to speak up. It does not need more. It needs women who will stand firm, say what needs to be said, and never let fear decide when they should be silent. Setting boundaries, chasing dreams, and owning one's power are not just ideals, they are necessities for any woman who refuses to let the world dictate her worth. Too often, women are expected to put others before themselves, to sacrifice their needs for the sake of harmony, and to accept less than they deserve to avoid seeming difficult. But no one will hand a woman her power. She must claim it, protect it, and use it with confidence. Boundaries are an act of self-respect. They define what is acceptable and what is not, yet women are often made to feel guilty for setting them. They are told that saying no is selfish, that asking for space is rude, and that prioritizing themselves is wrong. This conditioning makes many women overextend themselves, agree to things they do not want, and tolerate situations that drain them emotionally and mentally. But boundaries are not about pushing others away, they are about protecting one's peace. When a woman sets a boundary, she is not being unkind, she is simply choosing not to betray herself for the sake of making others comfortable. Women must also learn to chase their dreams without hesitation. Too many brilliant, talented women hold themselves back because they doubt whether they are ready, whether they are good enough, or whether they deserve success. Society has ingrained in women the belief that ambition should be quiet, that confidence should be measured, and that success should come only when others deem them worthy. Meanwhile, men pursue opportunities with far less hesitation, apply for jobs they are underqualified for, and take risks without overanalyzing whether they are ready. Women must adopt the same mindset, not because they need to mimic men, but because they need to trust in their own abilities just as much. Chasing dreams means stepping outside of comfort zones. It means risking failure, facing criticism, and overcoming self-doubt. It means refusing to wait for the perfect moment, the right circumstances, or external validation. Many women hesitate to take big steps because they fear what others will think. Will they be judged? Will they be ridiculed? Will they be told they are too ambitious, too outspoken, or too bold? But the opinions of others do not build success. Action does. The women who create empires, lead industries, and break barriers do not do so by waiting for approval. They do it by believing in themselves when no one else does. Owning one's power is about recognizing worth and refusing to apologize for it. Too many women shrink themselves in rooms where they should stand tall. They soften their voices, downplay their achievements, and avoid taking up space because they have been conditioned to believe that humility is more important than confidence. But confidence is not arrogance, and self-assurance is not something to be ashamed of. When a woman owns her power, she commands respect, not because she demands it, but because she carries herself with the certainty that she deserves it. Owning power also means not settling. Whether in relationships, careers, or personal ambitions, settling is a sign of self-doubt. Women often convince themselves that they should be grateful for what they have, that they should not ask for too much, and that wanting more is unreasonable. But no man ever apologizes for wanting more, for expecting better, or for pushing towards success without guilt. Women must embrace the same unapologetic drive, not because they have something to prove, but because they deserve the best just as much as anyone else. The world does not reward those who wait quietly in the background. It rewards those who step forward, claim their space, and refuse to be overlooked. A woman who sets boundaries, pursues her dreams, and owns her power is unstoppable. She is not waiting for permission. She is not asking if she is worthy. She already knows she is. Women have been taught for generations that their worth is tied to how well they can accommodate others. They are encouraged to be agreeable, to avoid confrontation, and to prioritize making people feel comfortable, even at their own expense. This conditioning creates a cycle where women become people pleasers, constantly seeking validation by putting others before themselves. But the world does not need more women who are afraid to take up space. It does not need more women who apologize for their opinions, dim their ambitions, or silence their voices to avoid making waves. It needs strong, fearless women who refuse to shrink themselves for the comfort of others. Strength does not mean being aggressive or cold. It means standing firm in one's beliefs, choices, and values. A strong woman does not bend to pressure just because it is expected of her. She does not suppress her emotions to fit a mold of what is considered acceptable. She does not say yes when she truly means no. Strength is about self-respect, about knowing one's worth and refusing to let others define it. Fearlessness is not the absence of fear, but the refusal to let fear dictate one's actions. Many women hesitate to pursue opportunities, challenge authority, or demand what they deserve because they fear rejection, criticism, or failure. But fear should never be the reason a woman holds herself back. Every woman who has ever achieved something great did so by pushing through doubt, by refusing to be limited by fear, and by understanding that growth comes from stepping outside of comfort zones. People-pleasing is a habit that drains women of their power. It forces them to mold themselves into what others want them to be, rather than embracing who they truly are. It makes them say yes to things that do not serve them, stay in relationships that do not fulfill them, and accept treatment that they do not deserve. It creates a pattern where a woman's happiness becomes secondary to the expectations of others. But true confidence comes from knowing that her needs, desires, and opinions matter just as much as anyone else's. A woman who prioritizes herself is not selfish, she is self-aware. The world does not need women who hesitate to speak up when something is wrong. It needs women who challenge the status quo, who call out unfairness, and who are unafraid to make people uncomfortable if it means standing up for what is right. Progress has never been made by those who stayed silent. It has always been driven by those who had the courage to demand change. Women who achieve great things are not the ones who wait for approval. They do not ask for permission to be themselves. They do not wait for the right time to chase their goals. They act. They take risks, and they trust themselves even when others doubt them. Strength is not about never feeling uncertain. It is about choosing to move forward despite uncertainty. A fearless woman knows that not everyone will like her, and she does not let that stop her. She understands that people may call her difficult, intimidating, or too much, but she does not change herself to fit their expectations. She knows that true strength comes from authenticity, from standing in her power without apology. The world has enough women who suppress their dreams, who tolerate less than they deserve, and who stay quiet when they should be heard. What it needs is more women who embrace their strength fully, who refuse to compromise their self-worth, and who step into every room with the confidence that they belong there. Women have been conditioned to seek approval for everything they do. From a young age, they are taught to ask for permission, to be told when they are good enough, when they are ready, and when they are allowed to take up space. They grow up believing that they must wait for validation before they can chase their dreams, set boundaries, or stand up for themselves. But the reality is, no one is going to give them permission to be strong. No one is going to hand them their confidence. No one is going to say, now you are allowed to be powerful. That is something they must claim for themselves. Women hesitate to take bold steps because they fear judgment. They worry about being seen as too ambitious, too assertive, or too confident. They wonder if they should wait until they are more experienced, more qualified, or more prepared. But while they are waiting, opportunities are being taken by those who have the audacity to believe they are ready, even when they are not. Men do not hesitate to go after what they want, even when they lack all the qualifications. They do not ask for permission to lead, to speak up, or to take risks. Women must adopt the same mindset, not because they need to prove anything to anyone, but because they deserve to take chances on themselves. Perfectionism is another trap that keeps women from stepping into their strength. Many women believe they must be flawless before they can put themselves forward. They think they need to have every answer, every skill, and every detail figured out before they can start. This leads to inaction, to missed opportunities, and to self-doubt that keeps them stuck. But no one who ever achieved greatness did so by waiting until they were perfect. The most successful people in the world did not wait until they were 100% ready. They simply started. Growth happens in action, not in waiting. Women must stop seeking external validation to feel worthy. Too many women measure their success based on what others think of them, whether they are liked, whether they are accepted, whether they are approved of. But true power comes from knowing that their worth is not up for debate. A woman does not need to be liked by everyone to be successful. She does not need to be accepted by society to be strong. She does not need constant reassurance to know she is capable. Strength comes from within, and no amount of external approval can replace the confidence that comes from truly believing in oneself. Fear of failure is another reason many women hesitate to step into their power. They are afraid that if they take a risk and fail, they will prove their doubts right. But failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of it. Every great woman who has ever accomplished something extraordinary has faced setbacks. She has been rejected, underestimated, and told she was not good enough. The difference is that she did not let those failures define her. She used them as fuel, as lessons, as stepping stones towards something greater. Women must stop apologizing for wanting more. They must stop making themselves smaller to fit into expectations that were never meant to serve them. They must stop feeling guilty for prioritizing their ambitions, their happiness, and their well-being. No one is going to come and tell them, "You are enough." That is something they must declare for themselves.